Facing Excel was a really big challenge because I don't know what they have, but they always beat us. With us winning against them, I think we'll have a good chance to win against everyone.
Excel were 2-0 up, but Excel fell short. Fnatic are still in the LEC playoffs.
When we are in a situation that is do or die, until we didn't feel like, oh, if we lose one more game, we are out.
Oh no! What's happening?
What? The Fnatic keep the series.
After we won the third game, we are like, okay, this is ours. Even though we are in a tough position, we get like the adrenaline boost.
Excellent disengagement ball. They're looking for a down to 2000. It's going to get smiled at. It's taken by Razork! Razork with the steal, upset with the follow-up, and it's enough for Fnatic to continue fighting Excel.
If you're on a team that won LEC twice and then don't even make playoffs, then you will get some hate, thinking like, oh, you're so trash, you don't deserve to be here.
Fortunately, the Mad Lions did not make it to the playoffs.
I think a lot of people just like counted it out, like maybe Humanoid was like the piece that was keeping them together, and like with Kazigan, maybe we just suck, you know, maybe we just got carried, but I think we showed that we are a really good team, and we just have to show in playoffs as well that we can still make fun of the good teams as well.
Omen gets the two-man, the prison, and ball! Comp is down! 5 members have ball, and Mad Lions with the ace are inside Roachback.
Mickey able to get a bit of a shielding up, but it's not enough. Upset flashing forward.
Upset with the massive triple kill to turn the game around.
For the 10th time in their history, Fnatic will lock Worlds and knock Misfits out of the playoffs.
Elioya is my friend, but I actually think that he is probably the best jungler in the league right now. But I think I'm in a really good shape right now, so I'm gonna give him some troubles.
I think it's like really nice trap card that enemy can fear and know that we are never out. It shows a lot of mental strength, and I'm really glad of the team that we can do that.
Welcome back, everyone, to the LEC Summer Playoffs, live from Berlin, Germany, where Mad Lions and Fnatic fight for the final spot in Malmö tonight. The winner will face Rogue next Saturday, while the loser needs to prepare for the World's play-in stage, because if you don't win today, you're not only not going to Malmö, but you also don't have a chance to get locked into the World's group stage, as you can't be number 1 or number 2. That's how the system works. Welcome, everyone, to the analyst area. I'm Shocked, joined by Trouble and by Treats. And we all scrubbed up nicely, I think, for the very last show in this studio for Summer Trouble. It's a pleasure to see you again.
It's a pleasure to join you guys. And of course, the first time we're working together, Treats, the SK duo coming in strong.
Yeah, the SK duo. I hope it gives fireworks today. As much as we saw fireworks yesterday, actually, unfortunately for Rogue, G2 slaughtered Rogue in the Kings match. They are now the first team to qualify for the Grand Finals next Sunday in Malmö. But after all the build-up, Treats, and after all the expectations, Rogue almost did not show up in that series.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a stomp, to be honest. I think G2 just had so much flexibility, so much confidence. Like, Caps was unleashed, Targamas was playing insane. It was just, honestly, a superb series from G2.
Honestly, I don't know, most of you have seen the little guy who's like poking something with this thing. He's like, come on, do something.
Yeah.
That was literally me anticipating Rogue to do something in this series. They got outclassed in every single lane. They got outclassed macro-wise. Their picks were better, were fitting more G2. And that's a reoccurring theme, right? We know that Rogue are really good at playing their game. I don't necessarily think they came out and gave their 150%.
Yeah, Trouble, do you think it's something, you know, telling us that G2 is just miles above everyone else, or did Rogue just not have the right read on the meta, or what's your view on it?
I feel like G2 are doing something really impressive when it comes to their drafting style. They find that one champion that is so important to their opponent team, and they snatch it away. Versus Misfits, it was that Sejuani. They kept wanting it. In this series that we saw as well, they took away the Azir, and they're like, we'll play it better than Larsen. And I think this also plays a lot of mind games, right? When they take that one champion that is so precious to you, and they make it look better.
Yeah, and I think that Rogue are a team that they kind of need to get the ball rolling to kind of feel confident in the game, right? And I think when G2 just have solid early games every time, Malorán can't be unleashed on the map and Rogue kind of don't find their footing. So it was a really good showing from G2.
Hopefully they can clean it up for next Saturday in Malmö. Now, when it comes to G2, it will be their 11th final in Europe. And out of the 10 they've played already, they've won 9. That win rate is something to sign up for, right? There is something about G2 playoffs, right, Treats? And we've seen it yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a saying for a reason, right? I think Caps, especially in playoffs, always shows up. And G2, they're such a big threat, right? Like, you can never count them out. Despite the regular season, doesn't matter. When playoff comes, they're online.
Yes, and now we only have one spot, as said, left in Sweden. Mad versus Fnatic today for a spot right there, and a spot to challenge Rogue. Of course, everyone's already locked into Worlds, but the seeding is up in the air. Trouble, and it'll be a spicy one, I reckon, today.
And I think it's really important for both teams for different reasons. Yeah. Mad Lions do not want to go through the play-ins again. They had a little bit of a stumble for Fnatic. They finished 3rd in Spring. You don't want to finish that again. Every single season, you want to be developing and finishing further up. And I think they're both aiming for the finals.
There was also a thing or two to say, I saw on social media from the fans, like, no matter what happens, it seems like we end up with a similar field of teams come the top 4 and come World Street.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's just how it works, right? I think these teams have a lot of experience and a lot of experienced players on their roster, so I think it's kind of natural, right, that they end up at the top of the standings at the end of the split. But it is really interesting to see both Mad and Fnatic now. They really want to make it to the finals. They only have one shot, so it's all or nothing.
Yes, all or nothing today. The Swedish national anthem, meaning it's time for a Swedish fun fact. Do you have something for us, Trouble?
Absolutely. So in
Malmö.
Thank you. The artist collective known as Anonym Mouse has created a number of shops, restaurants and amusement parks sized for mice. That's adorable. So while you're around the city for the finals, you can keep an eye out for these miniature masterpieces. That is so cute.
That looks so cool.
There's a little mouse on the chair.
Yeah, and I'm sure some of our fans will have some time, hopefully. I mean, no, I hope that we see 5 games every day, and they don't have any time, actually, because I've been let down just a little bit by the amount of games we've seen so far this weekend. So let's see if this one...
Together is the redemption arc.
Yeah, it is the redemption arc, and maybe we'll see a silver scrape today. We hope so. But before we go deeper into tonight's series, we also wanted to have a look at the Amazon European Masters, which concluded the first round robin of their group stage earlier this week.
Dostępne, tak samo jak i dostępne jest to wombo combo ze strony Agoro.
We are now halfway through the EU Masters group stage, and let's take a look at the standings, because when you look at the 4 groups, we have 4 teams undefeated so far with UOL, BDS, X7 and Game World. My heart goes to Mako, the Italian team, who yet couldn't find a solution, even though they showed some creativity. And when you look at the results, you have pretty even groups so far, Trouble, and I didn't expect such a stacked competition, especially for this EU Masters.
Honestly, when we're talking about group stages, it's all about the LFL dominance in every group, right? Because we have 4 LFL teams, 1 in each group. We're expecting a lot of competition. But right now, 2 more regions have risen up to the occasion, NOC and the Prime League, to rival them. So I cannot wait when the quarterfinals come through, because there's going to be a lot of surprises there.
And there's something we want to present for this EU Masters, which shows an interesting approach. Okay,
absolutely.
I want to let you go with it. I want to let you go with it.
So we're going to do something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. Now, I'll go from the control that we don't have blue because we had some technical issues for this EU Masters.
Yeah.
But we're gonna move on with the first one, and let's start with something old. And by old, we mean tale as old as time, as precious as classics, Attila. The Portuguese marksman last seen on the LEC main stage back in 2019 for Team Vitality has taken down names such as Rula and Uzi on the world stage, and after a small siesta over in the Superliga, he realized what the good region is, so he has joined NLC's force X7 Esports. When talking of course about Attila, champions such as Ezreal and Draven come to mind, but this time around his champion of choice is none other than, drumroll please, Zeri. In the first round robin of groups, he started looking absolutely outstanding with 791 damage per minute, 100% first blood participation, and the only player with 0 deaths among all 3 games. You could say that Attila is proving his worth once again for potentially return to the LEC.
I know that before that we have to take revenge on him with X7 and LDLC, but I'm not here today to talk about LDLC. Let's look at Sheo at BDS Academy. He came in as a rookie in the LFL at the beginning of the year, and he was given agency to shine through his laners, being surrounded by mostly experienced players. All of them have LEC experience, and he's a jungler here to serve his lane. He can adapt to the different metas so far. He kind of reminds me of a young Skins, aggressive, great listen mechanics, but some slip-ups that I want to tie to lack of experience. Now, I don't think it's a player that's afraid to go in, and when you think of this BDS Academy lineup, they developed so well and positively and became even more stable, bringing FLICKR in the mid lane. And considering how much the LEC lineup failed so far, if I may say this year, there's potential within the LFL lineup, and Sheo could become and grow an LEC jungler.
And of course, we're looking in general at EU Masters. We're looking for potential candidates for new LEC teams come next season. And time to go to something borrowed, literally borrowed over from Korea. Ruby for Unicorns of Love. This guy has made the Prime League shine 2 seasons in a row with Unicorns of Love. He won Saver MVP for Prime League, and his team won 23 out of the 24 matches in regular season. He has already played 49 games in the LPL for Warriors in 2020 and 54 games in the PCS for Boom Esports in 2021. So you could say that this guy is bringing in a lot of creativity and a lot of experience, and especially Koreans, Azir, Victor, name more iconic duos. He provides his team with so much full push in the mid lane and allows his jungler for so much creativity in that early game that usually gives the Unicorns of Love a lot of early game advantages. But of course, EU Masters group stage continues tomorrow at 5 PM CEST. Watch live on twitch.tv/EU Masters.
But for now, back to the biggest stage. In the latest edition of Pop Quiz, our LEC pros had to guess famous players from different hints and clues. Let's see how they did.
He has played 2 different roles in a major league.
2 different roles in a major league. Perks and Bwipo come to mind. Perks? Which is more likely, maybe Perks gets used for something else, maybe Bwipo then.
Zhao. Me?
This player also played AD carry briefly in a regional league.
What? Okay, that does not make sense. Wait.
Vanda?
Kikis.
Expecting.
This player role swapped from mid to jungle when he realized he couldn't compete with players like Caps.
From mid to jungle.
Jankos, I'll say, I don't know.
This player speaks Spanish.
Razak? Has Elioya played in AD carry? I'll just say Elioya.
This player is retired.
I think I opened this one.
This player played for Schalke, H2K, and XL.
I don't know.
There's a play that he made, and the caster said he just cancelled it.
He just cancelled it?
No?
No.
He never made playoffs in his LEC career.
Oh! It can be K-Drill, no? Oh, it could be K-Drill?
K-Drill, no? K-Drill?
K-Drill.
K-Drill.
K-Drill? Ah, okay. That one was easy.
Next player has played mid and jungle competitively.
It can't be the same player, I guess.
Cannot be the same player.
K-Drill.
The original...
Who plays mid and jungle? There's only K-Drill.
Another clue?
The original wife buff meme is related to this player.
First wife buff.
It's Stormby.
Active player from 2011 to 2018.
Wife buff 2018.
Time has passed now. Everyone has a wife nowadays, I feel like.
Alex H?
This player was solo killed by FLICKR in FLICKR's debut game.
Oh my god.
Rhea? Fabian?
I have no clue.
This player would frequently pose with a baseball bat in promos.
Oh my god. Nothing.
He was featured in a world music video as the main character.
Crown? I don't know. I really don't know. I give up.
He won OGN Champions Spring 2012.
BDD?
I feel like I'm supposed to know this, but I have no clue.
He's a world champion.
He's a world champion.
Easy hood.
And his world skin is Jarvan.
So he played in Fnatic. Cyanide? No, what did I say? Ambition?
Ambition. Ambition?
Ambition?
Ambition.
Ambition?
Ambition? Ambition?
All right, we're doing this good.
Oh, thank you, Shakaras, for bringing us all those awesome quizzes the whole year. And it's almost like a participation award that they're getting for just getting it on the last one. However, let's move on from those historical legends to the current legends here in Europe. Mad Lions versus Fnatic, and talk about the big stories overarching. Maybe for one last time, we will see them in the playoffs. Let's start with Mad. I feel like there was a lot of flame after they lost to Rogue because, as you can see here, All-Pro 4-5, MVP, coach trouble, but they weren't able to rekindle that regular season magic so far in playoffs.
Sure, but they still showed a very competitive series against the Rogue that was on form. I think the series that we saw in that best of 5 was very high quality. And of course, when you're having so many MVPs and so many awards of the season, there's also the weight of the community looking upon you, right? Expecting you to do the unexpected. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough, but they're still fighting through the lower bracket.
Do we all agree it was a high quality best of 5 is the question?
It was some ups and downs. I mean, I think it was higher quality for Rogue than the series yesterday, right? At least. So I think Mad Lions, I mean, they have a lot to prove still, right? They're not obviously happy with the results either. And I think today they will come in with a lot of fire. And they obviously want to show that it's not just a meme that they have 4 out of 5 on the All-Pro, right?
Yeah, in a couple of those games, it came down to some singular late-game decision-making mistakes that hopefully they've had a week to review. On the other side, we have Fnatic, who are really riding that momentum in the lower bracket. In the mid lane, of course, for Fnatic, we've got Humanoid Treats. On the other side, we've got Niski, the team that didn't want to field him anymore in Fnatic, and now they've swapped.
Yeah, for Niski, it's definitely a redemption story, right? I think he wants to take some revenge on his old team. He was on the bench for a while, he didn't find the team, now he's joined Mad Lions and he looks really strong as well. He got the MVP obviously, so I think there's a lot of grudge between Niski and his old team.
And also very quickly, Summer 2021, Mad Lions versus Fnatic, 3-1 for Mad Lions. Humanoid takes that one. I think their all-time head-to-head is 7-3 for Humanoid. So getting replaced by somebody who beat you in the finals, has the 7-3 head-to-head, has got to sting a little bit, so I'm expecting Niski to come in full gears.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for both of them, getting to Worlds was a huge priority. They've both now made that. So hopefully, Trees, does this mean that both of them can have a little bit more of a relaxed approach and maybe they will try things they wouldn't have before? Of course, playing to the top of their level, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, Mad Lions has also seen the last series of Fnatic, right? So I think they have a lot more preparation than the enemy team, and I think that can also mean a lot. And honestly, I think that they will just come more prepared and more hungry than the previous series. I think Mad Lions is also a team that needs to be put on the spot kind of to show what they got, and I think this is obviously the best time to do it.
Let's hope so. For more on how Mad recovered from last week's loss, Lore is now standing by with their coach, Mac.
Well done.
Mac, thank you for joining me for this interview ahead of your game. Before we get into the matchup, story about this tie today, because I know that usually there's a lucky charm involved in that, so what is it about today?
There is a lucky charm. There is a lucky
All
charm. Right. This one is a very special one. This is the one that Koma gave me at Worlds last year, because I gave him one at MSI, and then he came back with these 2 amazing gifts that made me feel utterly ashamed of how bad my gift was compared to his, like a handwritten letter from his wife. Like, it was really, really sweet. So this is one of the strongest ties.
Wow, Korean gifts are always the best, but yeah, channeling the Korean power, let's say, today. We'll see if it's a different story than the series you played against Rogue. Any words on what happened there?
I mean, we were all really disappointed after the series in Rogue. I think a lot of the blame should go on me for some of the drafts. I think Game 2, Game 4 drafts were a bit wonky from me, and that made it way more difficult than it needed to be. I think our meta read has developed a little bit since then, as everyone's has, right? And I think we're in a better position for today.
All right, very good to hear. And about the banter we've seen on social media from Marek's side, Niski, everyone involved. Any take on that?
I mean, it's lovely to have been kind of around long enough and played with enough really, really wonderful players to now have people that you're cheering for, even when they're playing against you, right? Like, I was really happy to see Odo do well last week, and I'm really happy to be playing against Marek today, and I think it's just going to be so much more fun because you have a relationship there, right?
Has to be special as a former coach of these players, but focusing a bit more on the matchup, Fnatic have been doing so well lately. I don't know what we can take from the series they played against Misfits, but what would you say is your understanding of the team right now?
I think Misfits didn't put up much of a fight, unfortunately. I was hoping they would give us a bit more information, you know, maybe take it to 4 games so that we could like see how Fnatic was going to draft against them on red side. Sorry, on blue side would have been nice. So I don't think that the Misfits series really gave us too much more information, to be honest with you. My read for today is that it's probably going to be one hell of a fist fight.
Close series?
I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling confident. I think it's going to be really explosive, but I think we can take it.
Banger games, that's what we want. Mac, thank you for the interview today. And Trouble, back to you.
Thank you so much, Mark and Law, and we really hope it's going to be a competitive series. If Mad Lions don't make certain mistakes that they have been doing after they gain an enormous lead in the early game. So right now, I would like to demonstrate some of these very small mistakes that they do during skirmishes that can really hinder that early game advantage that they worked so hard to get. So right here, as you can see, Mad Lions are really good at doing one thing, and one of these things is pushing every lane. So you see, we have Swain pushing top lane, we have Kalista pushing mid lane, and then we also have Gwen pushing that bot lane. Now, throughout all 3 lanes being shoved, you'll see that Elyoya and Kaiser are moving together through the jungle to get complete control to end up down the bot lane for a potential dive onto Odoamne's Ornn. Now, this right here that is happening on your map really brings down that tower dive because Armut gets a very unfavorable trade and that Gwen does not have ultimate to get back the HP. Rogue is going to instantly re-engage on that fight, and as we'll see on the minimap, there is a TP coming in from Nisqy, and there's also Larsen who's roaming from the mid lane. So the 2 mid laners are super far away from the fight. Nisqy, who should be there with the Swain to sort of dissuade everyone and keep everyone at arm's length with his Swain ult, is super far away and hasn't landed yet. And on the other hand, as I'm putting new buttons on the telestrator, you'll see that Larsen is coming down through a flank from the river. So right now, Mad Lions are losing their jungler already. They're 1 man down. They're backing off. And by the time Nisqy is there, the health bars on the remaining members are way too low to continue chasing on that fight. And through that, you'll see that Lucian gets a kill. And that was a Lucian that was very starved. Ahri will get a shutdown and a 2nd kill. And then all in all, this is where Rogue will ace Mad Lions. And this is so important because Lucian cashing in, Ahri cashing in, they were able to translate all this gold they took into victories. And I think this has been an issue for Mad Lions that has been hindering them because, again, they're one of these teams that in the early game are so good to translate that mid lane pressure into side lane pressure and advantages, and then in one mistake, they throw it all away.
It's almost like the inverse problem that we used to have where the Mad Lions weren't good at early game advantages, but they always win the team fights. Now they do get them, but then they make those little mistakes. What's your read on that? Because naturally, usually they're good at them, right?
Yeah, I do feel like Mad Lions has always been a solid late game team, and I think with the addition of Nisqy, they have a bit more aggression from mid lane, which leads to more plays in early game, etc. I think especially Kaiser being on range support doesn't help this cause for Mad Lions. I think he was always one of the best engagers in the league, right? And now he's playing Lulu, playing Nami. It's not really engaged champs, right? So I think that's definitely lacking for them.
Well, I like that you called up a couple of the picks already. So let's dive a little bit deeper into playstyles and also the drafts we may be seeing, starting maybe with our Spanish lads in the jungle. A bit of a rivalry, of course, as they both come from Spain, but both massively important to their teams, Elyoya and Razork. And I want to start with Razork maybe because MVP performance so far for Fnatic.
I think, and I'm going to say it right here and right now, Elyoya has been having some of the best games of his entire career in this particular playoffs. The fact that the rookie is coming into a quote-unquote super team with such a star-studded roster, there were a lot of questions about experience, about shot calling. So far in this particular playoffs, he is absolutely popping off, and I think he should be in the conversation for potential MVP.
And I'm glad that you said it, of course. Elyoya also started as a rookie, right? Last time around with Mad Lions Streets, and both of them have seen a really quick rise to fame and into not necessarily easy situations, as Trouble said, a lot of pressure.
Yeah, Razork has, I think, found a lot of confidence throughout these playoffs. I think he's also a very momentum-based player, and Fnatic in general have struggled with junglers, I feel like, in general. And now that Razork has found his footing and he plays with a lot of confidence, it just boosts their early games, and his stats are just through the roof. He's finding a lot of good steals, a lot of good escapes. He's a very slippery guy. So I think in general, it just helps Fnatic to have a super solid jungler.
Definitely. We kind of know what to expect when it comes from the jungle and the jungle picks, but I'm also looking at that bot lane specifically. When we talk about doing fantastically in playoffs so far, Upset's been so good that when we asked to highlight him in stats, our stats guy Marcus said, well, I'm going to have to give you two graphics. One you're going to see right here and one you're going to see behind you, because he is shredding it, Trouble.
I think it's absolutely insane that Fnatic have found a form that suits them once again, and it is due to Upset and is due to all these insane stats that we have behind us. His insane kill participation. You know that Fnatic want to play around him, and this was the question mark we had about Fnatic come summer 2022. We're like, what kind of style they want to play? Everything they seem to try is failing. But historically and typically, Fnatic are a bot side center team, and they like to play through there. And when you have a guy that can 1v9 pop off on Xerxes, like we saw him in regular split, then fair enough, play through bot.
Yeah, Treats, of course, people can say stats are only stats, right? What's your read on how he's been doing and why he's been so valuable in the games?
I think he added a lot of flexibility in playoffs. I think during regular season he was playing just a lot of mega scalers like Zeri and Sivir. But I think now with him adding the Kalista as well and showing that he can play slightly different styles, I think that brings a lot of flexibility to Fnatic as a whole. And obviously his stats are just out of this world. I think in every late game team fight he's played very solid, good positioning, and his team always trusts him, which I think is also very important.
And I'm really excited to see and wondering how Unforgiven and Kaiser will step into this best of 5, because they've had wonderful moments, I feel like, in the summer split, and I feel like Unforgiven has really been coming into his own. There's a couple of things like a Draven or a Kalista, of course, Upset also showing the Kalista just recently, but I think it could get interesting down that bot lane and in the draft for that.
Max said that this best of 5 is going to be a fist fight. A fist fight without Lucian, Kalista, and Draven cannot be a fist fight. And of course, seeing the guy, seeing Unforgiven actually evolve and develop how much he has in Mad Lions coming in from the ERLs has been a joy. He was always talked about back then in the ERLs, this guy is insane, but now actually he gets the platform to show it. And I think there's going to be a lot of tips and tricks, if you will, treats in draft with, again, all the aggressive AD carries, but also the scalers.
Give me a crazy prediction. Is it, or is it just the usual suspects?
No, I think that in general, Mad Lions want to fist fight on bot lane. I have a prediction that I think Fnatic will just try to avoid it and just ban the Draven and Kalista themselves. I feel like they did pull out the Kalista, but I think it was a more prepared strategy, and they know that Unforgiven is a very solid Draven, right? So I personally think that they will just ban the Kalista and Draven and make it more of the Sivir, Zeri stuff and Renata in there as well. And I think, yeah, I do think that favors Fnatic a bit as well if they do that.
Anywhere else we're looking at in terms of what we should really watch? Maybe top lane? I know you had something to say about Armut specifically?
Yeah, Armut played in 4 out of 5 games in the Rogue series. He actually played carries. He played the cannons and whatnot. And then he had 1 win in the carries section and 1 win when he played on. And we talked about how Kaiser has stepped off being the engage tool, and having Armut on something like the on or something like the cannon where he could create engage himself could be a very special tool for Mad Lions in this series.
Definitely so. I think there's a lot we're going to have to look at, and I hope that they surprise us, because that could very well be the key to a best of 5 like this. I've heard good arguments. We, of course, haven't touched on everything, but I'd love to know what you will think. Who is joining us in Malmö?
I think Fnatic are coming in with the momentum of the lower bracket buff, and I think I'm going to go for Fnatic. It's going to be a 5-game fist fight, but I'm going through to Fnatic.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the 5-game prediction. I do think it will go Mad Lions' favor, though. I think that they have slightly better, like, all-around play, I would say. I think that, as you said, Troll, as well, a lot of their mistakes come from themselves and not from the team they're playing. So I think that they have cleaned up some of this and have better preparation coming into the series. So I say 3-2 for Mad Lions.
3-2 for Mad Lions for Tweets. Okay, I like it. We have 2 different ones, and only someone can get burned, I guess. Discord 3-2 Fnatic. So I think this goes along the lines of expectations. And as said already, we had blowouts kind of on day 1 and on day 2. Of course, Fnatic will have been very happy that it only took them 3 games over Misfits, right? But the expectation is that with the pressure of Worlds off, with the pressure of Malmö on, hopefully we see our highest qualitative best of 5 today.
And also for Mad, it's not the most indicative series that they saw from Fnatic. They saw 3 red sides. They haven't seen Fnatic on blue side. They saw Excel push Fnatic to 5 series, but maybe they haven't seen their ace up their sleeve. So it's going to be very spicy. Maybe game 1 will be a little bit weird, because in the best of 5 series, game 1 is a little bit more slow. You're trying to fish for your opponent, see how they're feeling, if they're on their day, right? But then as the game goes on, the Kalistas, the Draven, all that stuff will come out.
Yeah, and hopefully the fire that we saw on Twitter from Niski and Humanoid will also translate on to the Rift. Can't wait to get into this game. So let's get into our first draft with Medi, Vedi, and GV.